name, 3 seconds up, followed by Beth Solomon, is that right? 10,140. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. There's not much more to say. The people have spoken so eloquently tonight. What I do want to add is to remind you that we are your neighbors. We shop the same stores, drive the same byways, attend the same churches, use the same parks, belong to the same organizations, and our kids go to the same schools as yours and those of your grandkids. We represent here tonight different faiths, race, political ideologies. We are Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, and Green. Our numbers represent organized labor, small business, and corporations. And some of us are at the end of our working careers as retirees, and some are preparing for their career as college students. But we all have this one thing in common. We love our town, we love Raytown, and we agree that Walmart's proposed plan is not a good idea. We've collectively done a good job of hitting all the high points that prove this is not an economically sound decision. And we ask you to please consider that the peoples want multi-use, multi-tenant. They want that small town atmosphere they used to have that other towns are getting back and have revitalized. And that's about all I have to say. Oh, I will say too, to the folks that want the Walmart traffic, the businesses in Raytown Plaza, I think they would get traffic if they put some signs on their property, and we know they're there. Also, people who don't have to work for Raytown to volunteer at Reap and Harvesters. We all do that too. Thank you.
Jonathan and Greg Walters is up next.
Beth Kurzava, Raytown resident, 1010 East 56th Terrace. I am a small business owner as well, and I am also speaking for Bowen Tower. How much time do I get?
That will give you 10 minutes.
Thank you, sir. If you would be so kind as to alert me when I have a 2-minute warning, I would appreciate it.
We'll do our best.
A little different.
We'll do our best.
Thank you. I have for your consideration a petition signed by Bowen Tower. 70% of those residents are in favor of the Walmart neighborhood market. There are about 75 residents in that facility. About 25 of them are not of the mind to make that decision, but of those who are, 70% of them signed that petition. So I have that for you. We are a business owner in Raytown Plaza. We moved there in April with the promise of a nice development across the street that would bring business to downtown Raytown. Finally. That was something we were really looking forward to. I don't know if any of you know it, but during the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings, I brought to the attention of that committee the fact that there had not been anything in the store that we are in since 1997. When I turned the water on, they had to go look it up manually. It was not on the computer records. So that's been a long time. We don't have another 16 years to wait for something good to happen to downtown Raytown. Over the course of these public meetings, we have heard a lot of misinformation and a lot of emotion. What is before you is the task of making a decision based on correct information and no emotion. You have to take the emotion out of this. You have to make a good business decision without the emotion. But you've heard all kinds of emotion. This site has already been approved for a grocery store. It's that simple. But the opposition would say, we don't want a big box. That comes out of one side of their mouth, while out of the other side of their mouth they say, oh, but a Trader Joe's would be good. Trader Joe's is a grocery store. It's a box store. What difference does it make? It's a grocery store. People who live downtown need a grocery store that they can get to. Owen Tower specifically wants a place where they can walk or wheelchair over and get their groceries. Not have to depend on Hy-Vee to deliver their groceries or any of the other grocery stores who then charge them a delivery charge. We've also heard about people leaving Raytown. They tug at your heartstrings with all of these emotional reasons. People are leaving Raytown. Yeah, people are leaving Raytown. Why wouldn't they leave? We have no hospital. We have no community center. We have unhealthy restaurants where we are subject to getting lung cancer. And you can't get simple city services. I can't get a plow truck up my street when we get snow. And yet when I get out, I see other plow trucks plowing streets that are already plowed. Why wouldn't I want to go live someplace else? We talk about people leaving for Lee Summit, Overland Park, Blue Springs. Oh, Blue Springs is getting a neighborhood market. Overland Park's got two. We've got concern for the kids at Raytown South High School when they're leaving the school. There's going to be liquor at the neighborhood market. There's a convenience store at 63rd and Blue Ridge Boulevard that sells cigarettes and liquor. And I watch those kids as they leave the high school every day. I can see them walking down Blue Ridge Boulevard. Probably some of them stopping to get their cigarettes and maybe eyeing that liquor. Then there's concern for the traffic and the kids. Wonder if anybody thought about it when they put that gas station in right across the street. That gas station is really busy. And who was mayor then? Then we have what I consider personal conflict. There's a lot of personal conflict in this whole planning zoning commission thing, and who was on the board, and I hear a lot of I and me, because they worked on this for so long, and they've got a lot of personal time invested in it. And it was a great plan, and it looked really nice. But you know, that was then, and times marched on. We've had a bad turn in the economy, and it's time to get real now. We can't do that pie in the sky. But some of those people on those committees own property around 63rd Street and around Blue Ridge and around Raytown Road. And they talk about conflict. They talk about ego and greed. I think the ego and greed is on the other side of the fence, because they're hoping that rail system comes in and they can cash in big on that property that they own. They talk about the trucks and all the noise. I'm at my shop pretty late at night sometimes till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. There are trucks. They come and go. They go up Blue Ridge and they go up Raytown Road. I see them. We don't apparently have too much complaining about that from local residents now, so it shouldn't be that much worse. We hear the comment that Raytown is being watched. You betcha we're being watched. I am a destination store. People who come into my shop are from Lee Summit, Overland Park, and all around the surrounding communities. The thing that they tell me is Raytown would be stupid. Stupid not to take that. That's going to save downtown Raytown. That's going to attract more businesses to downtown Raytown. And some of those people used to live here. But when things got bad here, they moved on. They see that as a good thing for us. Then you have all these people that lay the sins of the world on Raytown's shoulders, or on Walmart's shoulders rather. Shoplifting, crime. But if we do what they want to do, like one of the comments that I've heard, that we'll turn this into a shopping district with a bar, so that people who are riding the light rail, when they get off, they'll stop for a drink. How many bars do we have in downtown Raytown right now? 5. Within walking distance. 5 since the church left. Do we need another bar? Are we trying to become another Westport? How much crime is in downtown Westport? Rapes, burglaries, car theft, shootings, murders. I don't want it to be that. And the tree, Mr. Green. The tree. Okay, first of all, there's no tree in the middle of that property. I look at that property every day. There's no tree in the middle of that property. But the tree that's on the corner, you should know, in Sunday's storm, there was a huge tree that blew down just 2 blocks north of that. Blocked the street. You couldn't get through. What if it had been that tree? Are we going to dry up and blow away if that tree comes down? And has there been an arborist who has actually looked at that tree, a certified arborist, who can say that that tree sprouted in 1776? Am I done my 2-minute warning? I want to tell you really quick about a story, because we've had stories. You don't want to make, first of all, I want to make one comment. You don't make a life-changing decision based on emotion. Make it on facts. Make it on what's best for this city. Second, my quick little story is about Christmas dinner with 4 generations. Daughter comes home. She is a recent college graduate, out on her own for the first time. She comes home, she wants to make sure she picks up some good cooking tips from her mother, because she's starting to starve a little bit out on her own. She watches her mother cut the end of the ham off, wrap it in aluminum foil, put it in a baking dish, and shove it into the oven. And she says, "Mom, why did you do that? Why did you cut the end of the ham off?" And Mom says, "Well, you know, your grandma always did it that way, and it always tastes so good." So daughter wanders into the dining room where Grandma's setting the table. She says, "Grandma, why do you cut the end of the ham off?" Grandma says, "Well, your great-grandma always did it that way. So I always do it that way, and it always tastes so good." She continues into the living room. Great-grandma's sitting there taking a nap before dinner. She wakes her and says, "Great-grandma, why do you always cut the end of the ham off?" Mom says she always does it because Grandma does. Grandma says she does it because you do. Great-grandma takes her by the hand and she says, "It won't fit into my little roasting pan if I don't cut it off." If you do what you've always done, you will continue to get what you've always got. It is time. It is past time for us to put on our big boy and our big girl pants, roll up our collective sleeves, and get to work.
Hang on 1 minute, Good.
Just a point of clarification, I never said the tree was in the middle.
No, but someone else did.
Okay, well, you made the comment in regards to my inquiry, so I'll just inquire about the tree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Greg Walters, followed by Helen Nelson.
Hello. I'm here to reiterate a few comments I made in previous meetings, so I will be brief because I know it's late and I know that you guys are getting tired. First, I want to give compliment to the people in the audience. They've been here for 4 meetings, many of them, and they have done a fantastic job, and I think that their demeanor has been very good for such a large crowd, and particularly on a controversial issue. So my hat is off to them. My hat's also off to you, because I know that you have a very difficult decision ahead of you. The two items that I wanted to bring up have to do, when they were touched upon in Mr. Benson's report, with the closing hours of the store. I just want to reiterate that this store is in a downtown area surrounded by residential area that literally butts up to the place where the store will be. And I believe that the notes that he went from said that all the stores in Raytown close at 10 o'clock except for 3 of them along 350 highway, a state highway, a divided highway at that. So I ask you to consider that, and please have some discussion. I hope there would be at least a motion made to set the hours of closing at 10 o'clock in the evening so that we can maintain the quality of life in the residential neighborhoods around here. Finally, I wanted to bring up one other point, and that was that there's a lot of talk going back and forth as to what is the proper role, and I can only give you my point of reference on that. I've always felt that when you are elected to public office that your main job is to represent your people. From conversations that I've had, people I've talked to over the last, seems like a month now, there's definitely a large majority in this town that do not care for the project being changed the way it is. I don't think they look upon a 40,000 square foot building with about 60,000 square foot of parking space as a pedestrian friendly area where you take projects such as Google and encourage small businesses and entrepreneurs to come in when all the space is used up by one development. And that would be a Walmart in this particular case. I would hope that if this does fail, that perhaps Walmart may come back and look at other possibilities, such as where the Save-A-Lot store was, which is on a major thoroughfare, has plenty of parking, has very easy commercial access, and is only about 2 blocks, so I'm sure the demographics should work out for them well there, as it would just in downtown Raytown. That's all I have. Thank you.
Colin Nelson, followed by Diane Ciatalo, hopefully that's right, 11-213.
Hi, yes. My name is Helen Nelson, and I reside at 6520 Inglewood Avenue here in Raytown. I moved there on December the 15th in the middle of an ice storm in 2007. And I am here representing myself as a citizen as well as being a founding member of the Little Blue River Watershed Coalition and a current board member of the Sustainable Sanctuary Coalition. People asked why I would move from Blue Springs to Raytown, and it didn't take me long to give them some good answers. Raytown is uniquely positioned in the metropolitan area, as you well know, and as some have spoken already. We are landlocked, which I actually saw as a good thing. And part of that is cities around us, but also on the east and on the south side we have rural areas that eventually I'm sure will be developed into commercial and multifamily and subdivision projects. And but right now that makes it a very pleasant place to live. And I don't have to worry about a lot of construction noise and pollution and so forth. So I really like the quiet atmosphere. I love my neighbors. I live right across the street from my alderman, Jim Azure. And all the neighbors are just wonderful. It's just been a wonderful place to live. One of the first things that I really got excited about too was the Main Street redevelopment vision for Raytown. Also, I was really pleased and want to express compliments to the city for the 350 corridor plan, the 63rd Street Bridge, and the beautiful city gateways. I think you all have done a really great job with that. So why am I up here? I'm up here because I'm not in favor of the current proposal. I'm opposed to this particular development on a number of reasons, many of which have already been addressed, so I'm going to kind of put some flesh on those bones and summarize it a little bit too. I'm concerned about the safety of the food and the quality of the food. Having purchased food from Walmart in the past here in Raytown with glass in it, and having been told by the manager that they would happily give me a refund, but they weren't concerned about whether I had internal bleeding. They weren't concerned when I gave them the product numbers to recall it or pull the rest of it off the shelf or to notify upper level management, and that's happened on 2 occasions. I'm concerned about their labor practices and their international trade practices. I'm concerned about the long-term viability of this particular company, their various projects. I'm concerned about the stormwater management, especially in regard to non-point source water pollution and the impacts that may occur in regard to the total maximum daily load on the Little Blue River and its tributaries. I have not seen or heard any discussion in the plan that was up here, or heard any discussion about any mitigation for that, or how specifically that's going to comply with the NPDES, I think it is, best practices in stormwater management. I'm concerned about litter, crime, noise, traffic, pedestrian safety. I'm concerned about the economic aspects, not only the long-term, the question of long-term viability, but I'm also concerned about the impediment to the potential diversification of revenue streams for Raytown and its impact on historic trees and the air quality of the city. A development in this location would be fine, but I would really like to see something, and have ever since I've lived here, longed to see something of a local or regional nature, a small business, office, retail, restaurants. Okay, I'm representing a group? 2 groups? Okay, thank you. And with food that is local and organic, non-disposable napkins, dishes, and utensils, and a smoke-free atmosphere. So we've heard a lot about aesthetics, but my real concern is the ethics of this. I want to challenge the board to hold a higher vision than a short-term, short-sighted, multinational corporate sellout of our community and a really critical piece of our city's infrastructure. What I'd rather do is urge you to pursue a higher vision, a vision of sustainability, a vision that complies with the Mid-America Regional Council's principles of sustainable places, best practices in stormwater management, and this is probably something that's a little more edgy than those things, and this would be to comply with the U.S., any new development, to comply with the U.S. Green Building Council's leadership in energy and environmental design, with a minimum of a bronze level, and ideally soliciting an entity that would put in a platinum, the highest level, facility of some kind here in our community. I think we are uniquely positioned to be a model for green building and sustainability in the bi-state regional area. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person after Diane is, I can't remember the name of it, the address is 6804 Woodson.
Hi, I'm Diane Schiffello, and I grew up in Raytown. I still live in Raytown. and I work for the Raytown Walmart. 25 years ago, almost 26, I got a job at Walmart. My husband had left me with 4 kids. I didn't have any insurance, and Walmart provided insurance and benefits for me. I enjoy working there. I have made great friends there. We donate a lot to, right now we're doing some work for CMN, the Children's Miracle Network. I resent that they say people at Walmart are underpaid and they're all on welfare. That is not true at all. I opened the Walmart on 60A Street, and I opened the one on 350. Worked with a lot of people. And when I grew up in Raytown, I grew up in Gregory Heights, there was 5 grocery stores between where the new Walmart would go in and Gregory Heights, and now there's 3. And those 5 were always very productive. And I'm very proud to work for Walmart. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd ask your indulgence for just a second here while we cruise with the verdict. Next on the list, I said I can't read the name, but the address is 6804 Woodson. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Moving on. And then Elisa from 1110 West Walnut.
Good evening, everybody. The word respect calls to mind those who respected the citizens of Raytown and voted to keep the zoning as is in our downtown, our Planning and Zoning Commission. Tonight we have over 1,200 signatures from your constituents, the people that voted you in office, and I hope that you respect their wishes. Mom and pop shops are the backbone of the whole entire country. Politicians who destroy this backbone ultimately destroy the American dream, along with their very own cities. We're not afraid of competition. We are just concerned about predatory practices. Thank you very much.
Brian Riggs, followed by Terry Alens. Welcome, sir.
I've lived in Raytown since 1961, seen a lot come and go. I've talked to Mr. Van Buskirk in regards to when he was worried about them putting, questionable housing over there by him, and we got that stopped, and seen other things go on. I've never bought anything from a Walmart, and I've never shopped in a Walmart. My dad didn't ever like Walmart because of what they do to cities and places, and they destroy things. People can say what they want, but I've seen their practices throughout the United States. And I know we had to do something with that property because the city took it over, and Mr. Van Buskirk told me that we had even more money offered than what that property's worth, which that's the Walmart way of getting in there. And these people here, they can say what they want, but you guys need to consider that we need to give another plan here of what we're going to do with that property, rather than just stick a Walmart there and call it good, because Raytown deserves better than that. They need to do something about shops and get something like a downtown Lee Summit or an Independence, get something going rather than stick something there just for a quick fix and just to make it look good for the time being. And I know you're on the hook here for whatever they're going to pay you for that property, but I remember that property years ago when that church was there. There used to be a little donut shop down there back in the 60s and everything else. And like I say, Raytown, the reason it's never progressed the way I look at it, and I've lived here forever, it's been the good old boys too long and they don't do anything. And then they were on the rift there where they wouldn't issue liquor licenses and everything else. And I've met Mr. Kramer here because I still own my parents' house over there in Gregory Heights. And I've given a lot to this community. I'm on the board up there at Cave Spring. We wired all the barbecue for all them for all the years and gave them all the electrical for the roundup days and everything. Like I say, I'd give this another thought of what you're going to do rather than give these people an in. And because I went to the meeting also with that gentleman over there about the railroad, and their suggestion was move your city hall back downtown. Leave it down there for the police, but put the city hall back in the downtown of this railroad development that they're talking about, you know, getting it going. Because I went to those meetings also. But I just wish you as the alderman and your voted officials, you know, and like I say, Mr. Van Buskirk there, he was all wound up when he was going to have some kind of ghetto type people living over there. And I made a call that night at 10 o'clock at night and talked to the individual that owned the property and the developer, which I also called the developer that was spearheading this thing with Walmart the day after I found out it was going on. And I just told him, I said, you need to go somewhere else. We need something different there. We don't need that there. You know, as far as a store, we need something that's going to give this town some character and get it moving on in the right direction, rather than just stick something there. And you know, Fox's is like a landmark there and all those other businesses, and I've known them forever. And I think you stick that store in there, you'll kill that Cosentino's, and you're going to run business out of here. And I know Mr. Van Buskirk said, well, you know, Fox is going to retire. Well, the guy who owns Sam's Pharmacy and made the comment to me, he wanted to buy that and keep it what it is and keep Mr. Fox and redo that fountain grill and kind of make it, because it's one of few in the United States that's still around. But I just wish you guys would give some consideration to what you're doing before you. I know you guys are sitting up there with your hands like this and whatever, but you need to give it a little more thought than just, you know, you're voted in individuals that do things here in Raytown, and you need to give it some thought of what you're going to do and make this city progress rather than regress, and stick something there that, you know, just like the Walmart out there at Bannister. Well, how long did that last? That's a vacant building, and they're throughout the United States. But I just wish, you know, and I'll let it go here, that things could be a little different here when we progress into the future here, that will attract people if they get the railroad going through here and other things. Because when I was growing up, the plaza was full and things were booming. This town started dying in the late 80s and the 90s. But you have a lot of people that wouldn't let things come in and go, and they make it hard to open up a business around here. And that's why I think you've had problems. And I've heard it from other people. But I just, you know, hope we can go in a better direction here. And I know Walmart brings their lawyer and the whole 9 yards here. Well, that's fine and dandy. But most of those people don't live here. We live here, and we'd like to see something different going in that down green space over there, you know, to make it look so we can have different things or whatever and have a downtown to talk about, rather than just say, well, yeah, we got a Walmart grocery store. Well, whoopee-doo. You know. But I just wish we could go in a different direction.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Alderman, women. Thanks for your patience as well. I know it's a long evening for all of us, whether you're sitting out there or sitting up there, either one. A few comments about the plan that's on the wall behind me. I'm a little baffled by this body even considering narrowing those 4-lane parkways that are on either side of that down to those 2 lanes. And one of the ladies mentioned snow removal. You're going to have a snow removal nightmare with that mess up there and parallel parking along those streets. That's just something to consider. Mr. Mayor, I share your concern about the screen fence out back. My concerns may be a little bit different in that teenage kids do stupid stuff, and I know because I did stupid stuff as a teenage kid. And to be clear, my concern is the 6-foot screen fence, solid that you can't see through. Somebody vaults over that thing and there's a 12-foot drop on the other side. So I just wanted to voice that as well. As I said, I'm Terry Akins. I'm the business manager for International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBW Local 124. I represent 2,500 union electrical families in that position. I'm also the president of the Greater Kansas City Building Construction Trades. I represent 23,000 union families in that position. And many of my constituents are your constituents, about 500 families, over 500 families, I should say, that live in the area. And they're telling all of us the same thing. It's just that I'm hearing a different message than you guys are apparently receiving in many cases, or I perceive that you're receiving. I hear that they don't want that store there, that they'd rather have something else, some other use of that land. Now, there was some mention made of the last meeting and some of the things that went on afterwards. I don't need a sci lesson on representative government. I'm elected in my position as well, so I understand representative government. I also understand what happens if I don't do what my constituents want me to do. So something to consider strongly. Our constituents, yours and mine, don't want a Walmart because they're concerned. You've heard their concerns here about the devastation. And the man over here at this table said that one of the charges of this board was the good of the public. Now that's I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what he said, but that's one of your concerns, is what's good for your public here. And they understand the devastation that a Walmart store does to the community and the nation. Raytown is filled with pensioners, retirees on pensions from good solid jobs, plants like Armco, the Lee's GM plant, Rival Corporation, Vindo, Union Wire Rope. And as retailers, particularly the biggest one on the planet, Walmart, abandoned U.S.-made goods. Those plants closed. And they closed a long time ago because of those predatory practices and offshoring of jobs. Bring it home to the USA died with Sam Walton. And it's a damn shame it's a shame that it did. I apologize. Walmart is big enough to move not only a national economy, but a world economy. They're that large, and they are raping ours. The retirees in this community made $20 an hour 20 years ago with a benefit package on top of that, and now we're bringing a store in here that's going to offer their children $8 an hour with hardly any benefits and the opportunity to live in their parents' basement from now on. So that's a grave concern of these individuals. I support American workers, and I've heard the support for American workers in this audience here tonight. And please don't hear this as arrogance. This is just a fact. I'm just giving you a fact. I'm wearing an American-made suit. This is a U.S.-made tie and U.S.-made shoes. And I challenge you to find one stitch of U.S.-made clothing in a Walmart store. I'd buy... Easy. Mayor will call you out. Absolutely, sir. I understand. The point is, when I make my shopping choices, I make them with my fellow Americans in mind. Can they make a living? Will they make a living on what I'm spending my dollars on? What Walmart's doing is turning your citizens and the Walmart workers, whether they want to admit it or not. We heard some 25-year veterans up here, and they made a good wage and they made a good package. Thank you. We're at 5 now?
You just hit 5.
All right, thank you.
You're wrapping up now?
I'm wrapping up. Walmart will not create jobs if they bring a store here. They'll destroy 3 jobs every 2 they create. To say Walmart creates jobs is the equivalent of saying that Jesse James created wealth in the banking industry. So, thank you.
I put my cane against the wall so it won't fall this time. I actually represent CFO, which is Dr. Oman and myself at 6115 plus Kimberly Lynn. So can I talk for 10 minutes? Well, I may not talk for 10 minutes, but I guess as a group. After the meeting on May the 7th, I heard one of the councilmen up here, aldermen, say something like, why doesn't, they hear us all complain but why doesn't either grocery store show up and complain? Can you imagine if I say, I'm Constantino, but I don't want Walmart up here? Can you imagine what kind of publicity that would be? I cannot believe that an alderman made those kind of comments. And I used to work at Constantino's when I was growing up. Also there's a memo that Benson made on May the 15th that talked about, the zoning, and they keep saying the majority of the zoning is they're complying with zoning about a majority. But what is that? Is that 40%, 50%, 60%? And every time they've had a meeting, they keep changing the numbers. Also, they talked about, going down Blue Ridge, and you can imagine going north or south, and you'll see a retaining wall with a 7-foot fence. And I noticed in this diagram they didn't talk about Blue Ridge, and that's what I'm on. And I can't imagine Raytown, going down both sides, north and south, having that. Also, about the hours, I agree with some of the people that already spoke. I think it's better to have hours at 6 in the morning till 10 at night to comply with the others. Also, he talked about new businesses. Because in his report that he made, he said he will increase traffic. That new business will, but not 150 car spaces. That's going to be a lot more traffic, especially like when you cut down the lane, like he was talking about. Blue Ridge is crowded enough as it is. Also, I took the time to go talk to this Stoker at the crime analysis of Raytown, and in his memo that he sent you all, it said that the crime, including the Walmart, is substantially less than the big stores. Also, that the volume is less than like overland parking and things, and also 80% of the crimes are shoplifting. Well, if you get the report and talk to Mr. Kyle over there, in 2010, and I'm glad we got somebody from their division there of theft, but in 2010 there was 262 times the police were called. In 2011 it was 379. In 12 it was 460. And somebody said they needed proof. Well, we got proof because you had the report, and I tried to find it, so I just went to the police. And so far in 2013 there's 134 cases, which is going almost 536. And that's just cases of Walmart. Then you go to IVs. In 2010 they had 44, they had 26 and 11, they had 31 and 12, and they had 3 so far this year. And Apple Mart on 63rd had 2 and 10, 5 and 11, 0 and 12, and 0 and 13. Apple Mart in Raytown had 8 and 10, 5 and 11, 7 and 12, and 4 and 13. Also, it said in this police report, I think you all may have copies, it said there was 108 at the Walmart store involving drugs, and there was 32 in weapons, and this is in this 3.5 year period. There was 11 at IVs, and there was 3 weapons charges, and in both the Apple Marts there was 0 involving drugs and 3 weapon charges. So basically what we're trying to say is that Walmart, out of 1,235 cases in the 3 years and 1 quarter, there was 983 cases called out for shoplifting. Now I did ask the guy what's the most common thing they stole, and you know what he told me? Razor blades. I thought razor blades would sell 3 for $1. I've bought razor blades for a long time, but he said razor blades is one of the items that they sold a lot. So anyway, that kind of surprised me, and because he said they're little and they can steal them. And then in IVs there was only 57 cases, and 3 on 63rd at Apple Mart and on Raytown 4. Now, he also said in this report that compares to the stores in Kansas. Well, there was 21 stores on 103rd and Metcalf, and 90th and 70th Metcalf, there was 28. Now, over there, they call theft. It's not shoplifting because they don't have a private ordinance for that. But when I talked to the police department, they said theft could be shoplifting, stealing purses, or stealing in the store. So again, I don't compare the Raytown. I think Walmart does create a lot of criminals when they come in and steal, and we really want those in Raytown. Also, they said that the public says that this area that they're building in is residential. Well, everybody knows that 1/6 is what you're trying to put in, and that's all business. I mean, that's business property. There's not much, I mean, there's residential around it on the side streets, and that's what's going to create a lot of problems. Also, I made the comment about not having anybody from Walmart, because we got local people, we don't have any international people. But also, the reason why I don't like Walmart, now again, there's nothing wrong with Walmart, it's just their business practices. They do pay minimum wages, and some of the people out here who works for Walmart said they don't, but I got a list here of wages: $7 an hour, $7 an hour, $8 an hour, $7.77. You got a computer, you can find out what they pay. Also, most times they only want to work for people 29 hours. Also, all their products, most all their products are on consignment. So they can sell things cheaper if they don't have to pay for them. Like I mentioned last time, Dave Ramsey was going to sell them $12 million worth of books, but they didn't want to pay for them for 9 months. So if I have a bookstore, how can I compete? Same way with groceries. They're on consignment. That's why they sell much cheaper. Also, the guys talk about being a nice neighbor. And again, since we got Walmart people there, maybe they can confirm this. But all of the money that they get, all the sales, goes into the bank, and it's all transferred at midnight down to Bentonville, Arkansas. So none of that money stays here in Raytown. It just automatically goes down there. And they don't talk about that either. Also, I think a lot of times people don't understand the size of that building. If you drive down 47th Street, down by the railroad tracks, right down on 47th Street, there's a building called Automatic Systems, and that building is 25,200 square feet. You can see how big that is. Also, at Save-A-Lot, you can see how big that building is. That's 28,000 square feet. You can imagine almost double that in size in the center of Raytown on 4.5 acres of concrete and asphalt. And let's see. So basically what we're replacing is 4.5 acres of grass with, again, concrete, heavy concrete, asphalt, heavy concrete, heavy building concrete. So I hope you guys decide not to put Walmart in. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Mayor, on point of order, weren't the other people representing groups given 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. Did I get 10?
Sorry, you're right. Gentleman, he asked for 10, he was given 10, he didn't use the 10 though.
He's what he's done.
Wrap it up. I never told him to wrap it up.
That's what I heard. If that's not what you said, then fine.
Closer welcome, sir.
Thank you. Mayor and the Board of Aldermen, I'm Don Plesser. I've lived here since 1969. I've had a business here since that time. My business has grown out of my house and into a building that we have on Westridge. I go both ways on this issue with Walmart. I don't really look at this as a Walmart. Now, we travel around the country. Now, point of disclosure, you all disclosed earlier, my wife does shop at Walmart, and we stay at Walmart when we travel to our national events. So I get to see a lot of the different properties around the country because we got them all marked out, and they're cool enough to let us stay there with our rig. So that part I do like about them. When I go to some of these places that we go to, they have little stores that are around the Walmart supercenters, and those things don't seem to do very well. A lot of them, there's a lot of places that they don't do well. However, what they're proposing to put downtown Raytown I think is a really good idea. This is an anchor that this city needs downtown. No one has come along. Applebee's hasn't come along. No one has come in and said, hey, you know what? We want to be the anchor. We want to be the focal point of your city. We want them to come there. There's a lot of people that say there's going to be a lot of traffic. You know, if my building was across the street from where they're proposing to go, I'd be happy as a clam, because I need traffic. And traffic would be a good thing for these people that are trying to build a store. Raytown has tons and tons and tons of empty buildings, because I was looking for one. When I built my building, I couldn't find one that would fit what I needed, but there was tons of empty buildings. There's a building up by the grocery store at Restoration at Glisten and 63rd that has never been rented, ever. It's never been rented. The building's been empty the whole time it's ever been there, because we looked in there and trying to move into that spot. So what I'm thinking is going to happen, if they put this price in there, I suppose it only lasts 10 years. Just for a moment, let's think that. Okay, last 10 years. But what will happen is there'll be so much traffic that these people, you will fill up the places with the little mom and pop shops. What's the difference between that and the big Walmarts, the supercenters? They don't sell everything, they just sell groceries. Well, when people come into town to buy their groceries, or they ride their bicycles, because we really need bicycle paths for that, because that's what part of this whole deal is. They've got to be able to walk to this Walmart, they've got to be able to ride their bicycle to the Walmart. Gas is getting really expensive, and I think that would be extremely important. You to look at that later on, I think is a huge mistake. I think it's the only time it's ever going to get done is right now. And you can make them do what they made me do, move the street back a little bit. I had to make the street bigger, make my block smaller. They could do the same thing. It'll make bicycle lanes, put them in there. And the traffic will be good. Now, that's the good part, or the one part of Walmart. Remember I told you that I was kind of undecided on this. There's another part of this whole deal that I think that Walmart is responsible for. It really wasn't them, it was the company that they hired and worked with the city. Because staff let this happen, and the company that they hired, Walmart hired, let this happen. There was 1,000 truckloads of dirt. We've got an eyesore in Raytown next to my building. Why don't we make them clean up their eyesore from the last go-around before we give them a new go-around? And if we do this, let's make sure that the dirt isn't piled up someplace else in Raytown where we definitely don't need it. That's what I think on this whole deal. I think it could be a really good thing for downtown because there's a lot of traffic, but I think we ought to make them clean up. Even though it really wasn't their fault, let them clean it up. The city can't afford to clean up the pile, but maybe Walmart can afford to clean up the pile. It's 1,000 truckloads of dirt. I've got one of your emails, and what I'll do is I'll send you pictures of an overhead GPS view. It's hideously big. And that's where I'm at on the thing.
Thanks, Don.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes.
The suggestion.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I just hope that it gets instilled into the deal.
Thank you.
Okay, next is John Stegner, followed by Mark Moore, please. Welcome, John.
John Stegner, 6901 Crisp, Raytown, resident since 1985. Most of what I was going to say has already been said several times tonight, so I'm not going to repeat much of it, but I have a couple other points. We haven't ever talked about the ethical impact of changing the zoning requirements to facilitate Walmart. If we have zoning requirements that we levy on other businesses, small businesses, and we change them to facilitate the big guy, we have no ethics. We have no future. It is absolutely unconscionable that it's ever been considered. So either everybody plays by the same rules, or we decide that the rules are so broken that they must be changed. And I'll let you all decide that. But you're on the hook for equality here. Now, it's going to be real difficult for me to face up there. I can talk loud enough that everybody can hear. But I want to reference this chart and ask a couple of questions, because it was kind of vaguely mentioned that stormwater, that rainwater runoff was going to be handled. But I don't see any place there to put rainwater. There's no place to build a basin. We're going to pave and roof a lot of area, which is going to cause a lot of runoff that's presently soaking into that grass. Where is it going to go? There's no place to put a basin.
Mr. Springer, at the last meeting, I talked about possibly being underground, but the site plan, the engineering of the site plan is in the next phase, not this phase.
Well, okay, but the problem is we don't want to make commitments now that we can't undo later if we can't reach consensus on what we're going to do about this problem. That's just a caveat. We've talked about a 10-foot, I believe, fence along 62nd Street. There'll be a space between it and a retaining wall along the driveway. The union representative said that would be a hazard because kids might jump over it and find out it was a lot farther down than it was up, and I don't disagree with that at all. But if I didn't have any place else to spend the night, oh my, would that be a pretty place. Because it's obscured. Nobody's going to know I'm in there. Or if I want to do some other kind of mayhem, that's going to be a really good place. So I'm going to have some trained dogs running in there. I don't know. Who's going to pick up all the garbage every morning, because it's going to be there. Been touched on snow removal. You know, this revitalization of downtown, to me, has become a real joke. Because I walk a lot in this town. Didn't look like it when I tried to hobble up here. That's because I've been sitting too long. But the city spends horrendous amounts of money when it snows, taking the snow off of the street and piling it onto the sidewalk. You can't walk down those sidewalks for long periods of time in the wintertime. And you can't revitalize downtown without pedestrian traffic. So you need to figure that out, and you're not helping it a bit by getting rid of traffic lanes on Blue Ridge. One other thing. The Walmart store 40 highway police car parks on the sidewalk. 350 they park in the fire lane. Where are they going to park here, and who's paying for that police car?
Mark is followed by Sandy Hartwell.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing I can say tonight that hasn't been said. This is a really tough audience because they believe that what they think is right. It reminds me of a story, and I've been to Walmart a couple times in my life. I think everybody else has, and it's about laughter. 1987, there was a gentleman that was looking for somebody. And he started all the sensationalism, the carnival, the big acts. We're going to bring you this, bring you that. Went Grand TV, Geraldo Rivera, Al Capone's vault. Yeah, he was looking for Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa, who remembers that show? It was a little series, went on for a while. right? Lots of laughter. Boy, he had it going. The carnival's going. The barkers are barking. Lions and tigers, right? That's Walmart. That's what's being presented. Well, that went on for a couple, 3 weeks. I watched it. I don't know if anybody else here, I think somebody's here old enough that remembers that. The big night, the vault gets open. Empty. Air. Nothing in it. That's what you guys are getting served. This is Al Capone's vault. And that was a joke back then. You're getting Al Capone. We don't want to get Al Capone. We don't need it. Let's keep everything in the community. Let's not let these guys bring their carnival here. Okay? You can bring it on. I remember the carnival was going to be here, I think, once a year at least, but at least the kids have fun. You're with your wife, your children, you're eating cotton candy and whatever. That's not going to happen if Walmart goes in. So just remember the old saying, getting Al Capone. An empty vault, empty air. Thank you.
Is Sandy still here? Sandy Hartwell? Okay. Going to Howard Allen Walder, the second. Howard, are you with us? Okay. Paul Davidson?
My name is Paul Davidson, Raytown resident, 9505 East 65th. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Alderman of the board. I'm just going to reiterate a couple of questions that don't necessarily need answers, but will remind us of the brainstorm that currently exists in our atmosphere tonight. I can see how this might be beneficial. It's just the way it is, but why is it so beneficial now? The lot is an asset as it sits now, and convenient for city events. You can't compare Raytown to Overland Park or Blue Springs, and I volunteer in Blue Springs. You can't do that. We have different demographics, we have a different economy here, we have a different geographical location. How many of those downtowns can really say they have a green space? Well, nobody here tonight has really referred to it as an empty lot, which I suppose you could say that, but we've referred to it as a green space, and that's what it is. That's a foundation in itself for this city, in which I have the utmost faith and all of you before us tonight can build upon. Not with Walmart. At one point, I'd like to see something go in. However, we should consider a little more patience and a little less haste. Who says that with now this Google coming in, that this land would not be worth more in 1 or 2 years? I think patience is important. It may take a while, it may be uncomfortable, but our blessings have come to us in different ways. Sometimes it's not up to us to figure out what those blessings are, but we should be grateful for what we've got and not this building sitting there. For the time being, I think we should remind ourselves that we have something important there, and there's nothing there at all. It's a lot easier to rescind a no than to rescind a yes when you vote for this. I would hate to see that happen. Is Walmart going to take full responsibility of not only its operations, but its aesthetics? Shopping carts down the street, litter, various places for people to hide. I walk downtown too. I think that big open space is a benefit to the city. As far as it's an open space, I can freely go out there and walk, surrounded by grass. I wonder who coined the green space. Was that behind our original intent when we tore down that church? And I applaud the city for taking care of it, because you've used city money. So now that's why we're all here speaking. It had to be torn down anyway. It was the city who took the initiative. Don't undo it. That's all I have.
Thank you.